Hello! So during this video what we are going to learn is how to start using SQLite on a WPF application. Now before getting started I just want to tell you that this is just a very tiny part of a full WPF course that I have on Udemy and for which you have a very good discount linked somewhere in this video on YouTube or LinkedIn somewhere, and that you can feel free to go ahead and check it out. And if you feel that it's something that you will be interested in, use the coupon and have that huge discount. But you're here to learn how to use SQLite on a WPF application. And it's actually quite straightforward thanks to one package that already exists that you can start using and that I feel is even easier than many other packages that are out there. And the package that I'm referring to is one that is called SQLite-net-PCL. So of course, because we're going to be working with this package, the first thing that you have to do is make sure that that is referenced on your project. By default, of course, it's not going to be referenced, but all you have to do is come over to your WPF project, right-click on the References folder, select Manage New.js Packages, and here on the Browse tab, search for SQLite-net-PCL. It is going to be this one that has an icon with a feather on it that is at least currently version 1.4.118, again by a Frank Kruger. You just have to install it and you will be good to go. Now once that is installed, the next thing that you need is a class, the abstraction of your problem. In this case, we're going to be building a contacts application, so I'm going to need the contact class, the one that is defining what a contact is. And it's going to be particularly important because based on this class is that a table on the SQLite database is going to be created. This table will be called in the exact same way unless stated otherwise as the class. And each of the properties that we have inside of the class is going to, in the database or in the table, be represented as a column, again with the exact same name unless stated otherwise. In my case, for example, I have only a name, an email, and a phone properties. But it is important that I add this ID integer property. And notice that to this ID property, I have added a couple of attributes. These attributes are available because I have added this using directive to the SQLite namespace, which came directly from the package, the New.js package that I just added. And these attributes are simply going to state that the ID property is going to act as the primary key and that is going to be auto-incremented as new elements are inserted. This simply means that the first time that we insert an ID, it is going to have an ID of 1, the next time is going to have an ID of 2, and so on. So that's the class. The next thing that we need is to get a file where the database is going to be located and have that location of that file accessible every single time from everywhere inside of our WPF project. For that, we can use the app class and define these elements as static, so they exist without us needing to create an instance of this class. All we would have to do is write app dot and the name of these static elements. So the first thing that I'm defining is the database name, simply contacts.db. Then the folder path. This one is important because it's in here where you said where is this file going to be located. Just as a test, I am setting this to be the My Documents folder that exists on any Windows computer and that I can access through the environment.getFolderPath method. The environment class comes directly from the system namespace, which is already referenced in this using directive, so you have access to that. And this class itself has a special folder enumerable that enlists a ton of folders that you can access directly, including the My Documents folder. So like this, you get the path to this folder inside of your computer. And finally, I am going to combine these two strings together, the folder path and the database name, to get the entire database path with the help of the path class, which came from the system.io namespace, and its combine method. And because this is static again, and I have defined it as public, I will be able to access this variable from anywhere in my code. Let's go ahead into the interesting part then. I have this page, this window. It's not important how I get here really, this video is all about SQLite, but notice that I do have one text box for each and every one of the properties that I have inside of my class. I have one for the name, one for the email, and one for the phone number. So it's easy for the user to write the values down. And from the C# file, in the click event for the button that I also have, I am creating an instance of that contact class that is getting the value for its properties from those text boxes. So nothing fancy here. The important thing here is that we are creating a SQLite connection. This is how we will be able to connect to the database by creating an instance of the SQLite connection class and passing the database path that we have inside of the app class. As a static variable, we can access it just like this. It is a good practice to wrap this inside of a using statement, so as soon as the execution leaves this block of code, the connection is disposed, it's closed. Because we can only have one connection at a time, it's important that we close this connection after we finish using it. We could always call the close method from the SQLite connection instance, but this is a very good practice and it's more elegant to use a using statement. Instead of this statement, I will be able to create the table. Of course, if there is no table, there's no way to insert into it, passing simply the type, in this case the class that already exists. And then we're going to be calling the insert method from that connection, passing the object that we have just created. And that is it. By the way, this close is not from the connection, is to close this window. Has nothing to do with SQLite. So as you can see, it is very straightforward. In a future video, I am going to cover how you can read from the database. And in case you were wondering, if you eventually call more than once the create table method, the table is not going to be deleted and created again. If it already exists, it's just going to be ignored. The same table is going to be used.